our keynote speaker for this session, Dr. Rajesh Kumar, to address the August gathering. And Dr. Rajesh Kumar is a professor of linguistics in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, Chennai, India. He also taught at IIT Kanpur, IIT Patna, and at the University of Texas, USA. He has been a visiting professor at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, India, and he has also been the associate editor of the journal named Language and Language Teaching. His prime goal of research is to uncover regularities underlying both the structural form and socio-linguistic functions of natural language. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Dr. Rajesh Kumar, sir. So, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Hussain. Am I audible?
You are.
Yes, sir.
You are on.
And can you also see my presentation?
Yes,
sir.
English amid the study of language.
All right. Okay, if you can see that, that's fine. First of all, thank you. And couple of usual disclaimers. Gaurav, please let me know if this PPT is moving also. Is it moving?
It is moving, sir. It is moving,
sir. Yes, moving.
It is.
Oh, okay. See, I am giving you a live demonstration of what I wanted to say. I saw that this conference is about digital humanities and its challenges and opportunities. But I want to confess, I do not know anything about either. I know a little bit about humanities, but I do not know what digital humanities mean. Therefore, I have no clue about its challenges. I can only look forward to some opportunities in this. I'm a old-fashioned traditional teacher who works with language, and you can see what I do. I work with natural language syntax, and as part of its extension, not merely extension, the applications of what I do with natural language syntax, I also try to study its impact or its applications in understanding multilinguality in two specific domains. They are education and human cognition. It may have applications and implications for few more disciplines, few more intersecting branches, but I haven't explored them so far. Having said that, what is it that I can do or I can talk to you about? I'm also not familiar with the entire group of people present here from different cities in India, and as I heard from some other places in the world as well. So I thought I'll talk about 3-4 things that I am working on, and not 3-4 things, in particular 2, and they can all be combined in one. And that will fall into my primary areas of teaching and research. What are they? We study language, and I need to tell you a few things about it. Language comes to us so naturally that often we do not pay much attention to it. when I say we don't pay much attention, I only mean not as somebody who speaks the language, as somebody who studies language and about language. And at this point, I would like to make a distinction for you in terms of study and teaching. Teaching of a language is different from studying about nuances and technicalities of language. And they are different, but they are neatly related to one another, where the teaching part of language gets heavily substantiated if we know the outcomes of the study of language. That is, if we understand nuances of language. So a little bit more about language, and then I come to nuances of language and its output. What are the few generic things that we need to keep in mind? They are the following. Let me start with a question. Do we know how many languages are spoken around us? That is, in our neighborhood, in the city that we live in the state, or in the entire country? This is not a trick question. The answer is clearly no, we don't. Please check this for yourself if you do. I do not mean to contradict your information or your understanding of this question. The research shows, and we have also conducted our surveys multiple times, that people do not know about it. People have general ideas. In fact, if I ask you a question, I know people are here from multiple places. Excuse me. I have done this survey in the city of Chennai. I live at IIT Madras campus in Chennai. How many languages are spoken in Chennai? People count general names like some speakers of Telugu, Malayalam from neighboring states, English, some people speaking Hindi, and so on. This question, how many languages are spoken in Chennai and how many languages are spoken in Tamil Nadu, does not mean the list of these languages does not answer this question. This question means indigenous languages of Tamil Nadu. Often people will give you one or two names. Please check with yourself how many languages are spoken around you, how many languages are spoken in your city, and how many languages are spoken in the state you live in. That will give you an idea of how many languages are spoken in India. There is a purpose why I am talking about how many languages are spoken around us. It has twofold purposes, and I'll talk about both of them. That is, twofold means, if we know the names of some of them, that is one part, and if we don't know, that is also a significant identification, significant point in the study of language. A rough estimate says approximately 700 to 800 languages are spoken in India. If you look at 1961 census, it says 1,600 plus languages are spoken in India. Linguistic Survey of India by George Grierson in 1928 lists roughly 170. And one of the most authentic source of information for languages in India is census data from the government of India. It's a complex document, confusing remarks and confusing conclusions. Nonetheless, it's a very significant document. It lists lot of languages. I simply can't give you the total number. You can understand the estimate from the census data that it does not list names of the languages that have less than 10,000 speakers. So that's all I am trying to say with all this is the complexity of languages in our country. All across the world, roughly 6,000 languages are spoken. Now, here is what I want to derive from this. People working in the field of digital humanities or anything to do with digital would know that we live in the world of verified or unverified information all at our fingertip. We have everything accessible, and we feel we can get names and compositions of a rare medicine as well. But try looking for this simple information. A list of languages is spoken all over the world. No search engine gives you that. A list of languages spoken in Uttar Pradesh or Himachal Pradesh or Haryana. I'm giving you two different examples of, not because the organizers of two different universities are from Uttar Pradesh and Himachal Pradesh, but my purpose was to give you one of the biggest state and one of the smaller states of the country. And if you want to look at even smaller states like Meghalaya and Manipur, you will see the complexity of language. Or for that matter, Nagaland. Just for record, Nagaland has 40 different languages that are mutually unintelligible from one another. So that's the complexity. Why this list is not available online? That is because it is not possible to count languages, and so on. So this gives you a complex picture of language that people speak. And this is what I meant, that it comes so naturally to us that we don't pay much attention even to the names and the number. Forget about its nuances and details. That is a significant part, that is a significant thing that we need to give attention. We need to pay due attention to that, particularly if we want to understand its interface with technological advancement and anything else that we do with language. A very famous anthropologist once remarked, and that once probably happens 40 years ago, 40 years from now, that was Shirley Heath. And she mentions at one point, I'm generally telling you some background information. I don't have these things on the PowerPoint for this presentation, but nonetheless, it won't be complex to follow. Shirley Heath mentions that the information that we are going to get from the study of language is going to be like general knowledge, and it is going to be applicable from industrial sociology to computer science, and that happens to be factually correct as we speak today. So I don't think I need to demonstrate and underline the significance of this study more or in more details. But there are three specific aspects that we need to understand when it comes to the nuances of language, and then I'm going to come to the application part. Gaurav, I realize I saw from the schedule I have 30 minutes of time. Please let me know when you want me to stop.
Sure, sir.
I don't want to run into other people's time.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
No, sure.
I'll try to rush through this information soon. So, one specific part is nature of language. Second is structure of language, and third is acquisition of language. If we look at, that is, if we study language in these three domains, then we can have its implications and visible impact on some of the questions that we struggle on daily basis. One of the questions, okay, let me take you directly to some of the things. In this study, if you look at my screen, we have studied upper middle class Tamil English bilinguals in Chennai, and we have tried to study through participant select interview, sampling, and sociolinguistic interviews. We have tried to study the attitudes of English speakers in a metro city, and there are more details. In the interest of time, I am not going into the details of that. The other thing that we have done, look at this. We have also tried to study English at workplace. And I'll tell you the combination, the common part of these two studies and what I have been trying to talk about language. You see, if you happen to teach any language for that matter, or English in particular, you would have faced certain situations. We know, I talked about all other languages, I didn't talk about English. But let me say just 2 specific points about English as well. English is the only language in the world today. I know that there are a lot of people who may be happy or unhappy with English. That's not important point for us to discuss, and people have rights to be happy or unhappy about anything. But that's not what I am trying to address. I am giving you 2 simple facts. One, English is the only language in the world which is in contact with all other 6,000 or 6,000 plus languages spoken in the world. That is, it is spoken by a large number of speakers or a very small number of speakers from all speech communities across the world. At the same time, it also remains an important language in the functional domains and also an aspirational language for many in the world. That's the fact about language. That is English. The second point about English that I wanted to mention, which is important particularly in the context of India, and that is, if we look at the new millennium, that is, the term that I use in my study is 2K generation. That is, kids born after year 2000. Facts tell you, simple statistics tells you that we are in 2022. Those who were born in 2000 or 2001 are voting adults in 2022. Clearly speaking, we have large number of people, a significant part of our population born after 2000. And these kids, their English, their familiarity with English is different from the familiarity with English of the speakers of English who were born before 2000. And there are a lot of reasons for that. I leave you to explore these reasons for yourself. One of the reasons is definitely located in technological advancement and the speed with which technology comes at our doorstep. These were the 2 facts. However, when a survey among teachers and learners indicates that we know English is an aspirational language, not just for upward mobility or professional success, it's a compulsion also for Indians, in the sense that probably India is one of the few countries. I haven't done this survey, so I can't give this number. I am tempted to say probably India is the only country in the world, or to be on the safer side, one of the few countries where higher education is accessible only in English. Higher education is not accessible in any languages spoken indigenously or natively in this country. We do speak 1/3 of total languages in the world, total languages of the world, but we do not have higher education in any one of our languages. And many of you must be familiar with government's attempt now and before, and that opens up a completely different pool of discussion. But until now, I am not factually wrong. So with this, what is it that I am trying to tell you? When we explore and from two parts, from the teachers and from the learners, we find a strange ironical correlation. One is everybody wants to learn English, everybody wants to speak good English, but teachers of English in classes complain that people do not want to learn English properly. Students do not pay attention to learning of English in classroom situation. That's what we have done in this study that you see on your screen. And I can take you, I'm tempted to take you through the entire stages of this study and to come the questions that we set for ourselves to investigate. We used this method that you see on your screen. We located this study in a specific theoretical framework, and then I can take you through the details of the questions, and what we found are these things. I'll only tell you a summary part of this. I don't want to say gap, the disconnect between people's aspiration and classroom performance, or unwillingness to be in classroom for learning English. There is a lot that we can not only find through research, but also if you keep your eyes wide open, they are staring, the reasons are staring at us. And here is what I want to say and connect it with what I was saying before. I'll take you back to the same point from where I started. I said there are two parts of what I wanted to say. One was about some basic information about language and what is it that we need to look at when we are going through the nuances of language. There are three parts: study of the nature of language, study of the structure of language, and the study of the process of acquisition of language. These three things are completely ignored and dissociated when we go to the classroom. And we keep working, if at all, teachers of English, this is what research shows. I'm not giving you my impressionistic judgments. Research shows teachers of English are at most familiar with different methods, or what they call in 2022 post method. Please understand, none of these methods work in the classroom, and the reason is located in the disconnect with our inadequacies in the method in understanding nature, structure, and acquisition of language. Allow me few more minutes to conclude my point. By nature of language, I'll only give you bulleted points, not too much of details of it. Nature of language is the one of the questions that comes from the study of nature of language is the following. I have raised this question in multiple multiple talks, multiple discussions that I have done before. And it's not, I don't have a satisfactory answer to the question, but I do not find it insignificant question. You are familiar with what I am going to say. You ask a question in and around yourself to anybody who studies language or doesn't. The question is, what is language? Or how do you define language? More than, in a huge number of responses, you will get similar answer. Language is the medium of communication. Undoubtedly so. This is not wrong answer. But if language is the medium of communication alone, then why do we speak so many languages? Would world be not at peace if everybody spoke just one language? Hence, the study of the nature of language reveals that in our effort to define what language is and what it does, communication happens to be one part of it. To understand the nature of language, we need to look at way more than what we know. The structure part of language is equally fascinating to go through. When you look at it, we find that languages are similar to one another in more number of ways than they differ from one another. And the similarities of languages, similarities underlying languages across genetic families and differences across languages can all be looked at in a very fascinating way if we look at the structure of language. And here, when I say structure of language, I do not particularly mean the structure of a language, that is either the structure of Hindi or English or Bhojpuri or anything else. We are talking about structure of language, which is underlying mechanism governing language. And third, the process of acquisition. How does it so happen that a child ends up speaking languages effortlessly by the age of 4 or 5? If we go into the details of understanding that, where scholars from multiple disciplines, from sociology or philosophy, biology and mathematics, have also attempted to understand the process of language acquisition and the mystery underlying how a 4-year-old child speaks grammatically accurate and numerically infinite number of sentences in the acquired language. A close combination of all these things, all these facets, take you to the answer of the questions why the audience in the English classroom becomes disenchanted or uninterested in learning what is being delivered. So I mean, it's obvious. Hope it is obvious by now, in terms of what I want to conclude, that these two parts need to come together like this. They don't need to stay separate, and only then we get answers to the questions. I know I am running, I'm going over time, but I stop here because I do want to leave some time if there is any question for me to answer. But to conclude, nature, structure, familiarity with nature, structure, and acquisition of language has potential to tell us a lot about, and has implications for doing how it can be done. And about English, I didn't want to give just too many generic things, the generic discussion that are available in literature. why it is considered a foreign language or second language or any other name. I gave you my understanding, my point where I want to rest this case, that I am looking at millennial kids, that is 2K generation, where we have large number of kids who speak English natively in India. Please take this word with caution. When I say natively in India, the expectations is not and must not be speaking like anybody else, that is speaking like an American or a Britisher or a Canadian or an Australian. These kids speak English natively that are spoken around them. Therefore, they are the native speakers of English of India. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any question from the August gathering?
Yes, sir. I would like to ask a question.
Yeah.
Sir, my question is that, as you said, that the students become disenchanted learning English. So, what are the pedagogies that you have adopted as a teacher that makes the class interesting? Some practical measures can you give us?
It's too broad a question for me to answer. I try to answer this thing, but I'll still attempt specifically. And thanks for your question. See, we'll give you a picture which will help you understand. As I said in the beginning, I work at IIT Madras. Not sure if you know them. I don't mean to do commercial advertising here. IIT Madras runs one of the largest program in the form of a BSc degree. It gives BSc degree in programming and data science. It's going to give more such degrees, and this program runs online. Not only in the classroom, we have attempted to use the information that I have given you online, English, online teaching of language that happens to be English. And our enrollment is not ordinary. It is roughly 20,000. And what I can tell you is, and I'll give you a specific example. You see, how you pay attention to how we teach plural formation in English. Lot of people use the method that we don't want to get into technical details of language. My question to you is, if you don't get into technical details, then what are those kids doing in the classroom? Why are they there in the classroom? People do not come for entertainment in the classroom. Classroom is a serious place, and it should remain. By serious, I don't mean we need to make it serious. It's an important place. It's learning place. So here is the nuances of plural formation in English. There are only two things that work in English plural. One is all plural mark. If we pay attention to the structure of language part, here is what we get. There are only two markers of pluralization in English. One is s and one is z. Two sounds, s and z. Plural markers sound s. Plural marker sounds s if the previous, if the words end with p, t, and k sounds. For example, if you have book, the plural of book will sound as books because the last sound is k in the word book. Plural of cat, because the last sound is t, it is going to sound sa, cats. Plural of cap, in the word where the last sound is pa, is going to sound sa, that is caps. So I'm giving you three examples of pa, ta, and ka. Book, cat, and cap. Simple words. The plurals are going to sound as books, cats, caps. In any other environment, if you have a plural marker, that is going to sound as Z, like boys, keys, flowers, friends, and so on. Now, you can take this information and see, pedagogically speaking, how this information is taught. Either you can let people swim and get into the water and learn swimming on their own, or you need to guide them. This is not the information that one needs to teach in the classroom, but this is the information, definitely, if you are equipped with this information, then you can take your classes. You are in total control and command of the class and take it in the direction you want. Otherwise, it may have different results. And then please also understand, when we are operating a class, I mean, depending upon which class you operate, it's a linguistically adult people in that class, and they do not come with zero information. They already have information. So I gave you just one example. I can give you hundreds of examples in how one understands syllabification and what is the role of syllabification, understanding syllabification in understanding how stress works in language, because our languages do not work the same way. So my answer to your question is, if we understand, if we equip ourselves with the findings about the nuances of language that come from 3 different domains that I gave you, then you are a better equipped teacher to handle challenges in the classroom. If we are unable to handle those challenges, then why would people give you 50 minutes of attention in the classroom? It should be the responsibility of the teacher. I hope.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Your thought-provoking address will definitely set a platform for speakers to deliver the presentations in the areas of their expertise. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you.
With equal pleasure, I would like to invite
Thank you, sir.
Dr.